He definitely took it. Let's just say he definitely took advantage of the fact that I was his nephew in terms of, you know, the pay structure that I worked
So you
under.
definitely needed a union with a relative.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt.
That's Sean O'Brien telling Hasan Piker that he needed a union at the Young Turks, and Hasan says 100%.
They actually did unionize the producers, but that was after I had left.
So what he just said was they actually did unionize the producers. That is not true. This is the continuation of the erasure of the Young Turks unionizing workers story. I don't think he's trying to mislead people. It wasn't producers. IATSE literally can't represent producers. This made me think of this tweet from Anna. They claim they're representing the will of the majority of TYT employees, including producers? What? Literally impossible. She played a major role in smearing the workers through her failure to do any fact-checking. Where the f*** does this come from? Who told her that? Where did she get that idea? And why does Haas say the same thing? This is why I'm doing the movie. Even now, Cenk's misinformation campaign worked so effective. It was so effective. And even to the degree that the guy who wouldn't be anywhere near where he is without the work of the people in this union is totally clueless about what happened. Has no idea what went down, to the degree that he is repeating completely incorrect information that Anna also put out. This is why this movie had to be done.
My uncle was like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to hire someone and skirt some serious like labor regulations with his family. I think my first year salary was like $21,000.
Well, that's because your uncle was letting everybody steal your sales deals. That's true. His uncle would.
So how do you think Cenk treated the non-nephew workers? The workers in this union are the literal foundation of his success. And someone with his principles, he has an obligation to correct this. This is not okay for the workers that built this guy's career, for him to be out there helping bury their truth. That's not okay. This is really f***ed up, honestly. And I wanted to do a more comprehensive reaction to this thing from Hasan, watching his appearance on Better Bad Ideas with Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters president, where he talks about the Young Turks Union. I did clip these things out. Oops, those are Cenk Uygur's union busting emails on Alex Thompson's Twitter. Hold on, sorry, that's the notice to employees Cenk had to post because he violated Section 7 of the NLRA. Oh, sorry, that's Anna Kasparian saying spreading information that's like literally untrue and can't be true. All right, so here is Hasan telling Teamsters president Sean O'Brien about his working conditions, and Sean O'Brien's response is really right on point, actually. Here we go.
So, but I started working with my uncle, and look, I think it might be a little Turkish of him to do this, but he definitely let's just say he definitely took advantage of the fact that I was his nephew in terms of.
Took advantage of him. He uses the phrase took advantage of the nephew status, which seems to mean he could be more exploitative than others, maybe.
You know, the pay structure that I worked under.
So you definitely needed a union with a relative.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt.
That's Sean O'Brien telling Hasan Piker that he needed a union at the Young Turks, and Hasan says 100%. Whoa. Whoa. What Hasan doesn't know is that the workers were unionizing during his last year at the company.
Exactly. They actually did unionize the producers, but that was after I had left.
So that part right there, when he says, so he's obviously remembering some stuff, and I'd actually love to get a hold of Hasan and talk to him about this and see what he believed at the time and what he was told at the time, because what he just said was they actually did unionize the producers. That is not true. I don't think he's trying to mislead people, but this made me jump out of my gross sweatpants when I saw it, and I got kind of fired up. As you can see, by the way, if you just want to jump ahead yourself, go to this Better Bad Ideas with Sean O'Brien. Find this video. It's like their first episode. It's easy. But go to the comments, look for winners and losers. I basically wrote a whole damn article, and this is the story Cenk tried to hide. As I've been telling others too, this is a line I have used and will use again, is that you reading this know more than TYT's audience does. I've left comments under Majority Report video that got, the comment got big, and everybody who read that comment is far more informed about what really happened than TYT's audience. and far more informed than Hasan himself, because what this reflects to me is so frustrating that, and it's not, again, I don't think it's because he's willfully misinforming, but this is the continuation of the erasure of the Young Turks the Young Turks unionizing workers story. I've been going for like 5 hours here. I'm kind of wiped out, but let's back up a little and just listen to that again.
Exactly. They actually did unionize the producers, but that was after I had left. But
now, as I just said, it was while he was there, but it was in secret, and that's written in that thing. It's like so I don't blame him for not knowing. We weren't going to risk our operational security letting him know. Not that we wouldn't have trusted him per se, but he was in his own world. He was already big on Twitch. He wasn't at the office very much unless he came in for, to shoot for his own thing and stuff like that. But so this makes it seem like everything happened after he had left, and that it was the producers, which is so weird. It wasn't producers. IATSE literally can't represent producers. This made me think of this tweet from Anna on February 21st, 2020, where she says, "The only thing I can say as a worker, me and several of my colleagues knew nothing about this union until this week. That's because we did a good job preventing people who might snitch on us. They claim they're representing the will of the majority of TYT employees, including producers." That's so weird. To finish, and then I'll say my words. "But we never even got a chance to vote or share what we feel." She's kind of trying to say here that this was unfair, right? Like, oh, she was excluded from the process. She's the executive producer. She's not management. She's not in charge. She's not the person that ordered the union busting. She definitely helped signal boost it. She played a major role in smearing the workers through her failure to do any fact checking, possibly intentional failure, trying to help prevent the actual story from coming out. But I mean, if she comes forward with that and admits to that, fine. I actually am of the opinion that Anna deserves some grace in this situation, because that whole political campaign was incredibly stressful for everybody, but also for her. She took a ton of extra, even more than the usual baseline of hate and online derision that flows towards her and Cenk, being so highly visible in this whole space. So it's to me, it's plausible. It's fair to at least offer the good grace to her that even though I think she deserves to be called out and she belongs in the movie as presented, nevertheless, she was lied to. She believed somebody who had a responsibility to protect her and keep her out of a film about union busting. And that person is Cenk, obviously. But Cenk allowed this to go forward when they both, but especially Cenk, where the fish rot begins, up at the head, as we like to say, should have insisted that they make sure that this was true, that the conspiracy lie was true, that that Cenk's opponents had started the union instead of the workers, that we were manipulated into unionizing so that eventually he would say no to the union and fall into Nancy Pelosi's trap in order to harm his campaign. It's so bizarre. Just say yes to the union and there's no trap. Like, it's the easiest trap to avoid. Nevertheless, so here's the thing. Where did she get this sentence? Where the hell did this come from? They claim they're representing the will of the majority of TYT employees, including producers? What? Literally impossible. IATSE doesn't represent producers. So where did this information come from? Right? Like, where the fuck does this come from? Who told her that? Where did she get that idea? And why does Haas say the same thing? Oops, wrong one. Sorry, I got a bunch open. So I buttoned in on it here. Oh, God, I'm so fucking done with this. There we go. This is it real quick.
They actually did unionize the producers, but that was after I had left.
What's that from? Did he read Anna's tweet? It seems unlikely because she's just reacting to somebody. It's now a suspended account. This tweet didn't get a lot of traction, clearly. I'm wondering if someone told him that. He could be just kind of speaking about it because he knows it's some group of people and his brain just kicked out a group of workers or something like that, maybe. But man, I would love to know where that came from. What the heck is he going on about? Not that he went on a lot. He didn't go on much at all. So, and just as a reminder, since he did mention this stuff, that Sean O'Brien said you need a union.
you know, the pay structure that I worked
So you
under.
definitely needed a union with a relative.
Oh, 100%.
Yes, you do with a relative. Let's look at this video. Oh, God damn it, I just closed it. The tabs are too tight. Here's Hasan with his buddy Will Neff explaining, and you might have already seen this, but talking about his working conditions at TYT in more detail. And I think Sean O'Brien would agree this is all also good reasons to have a union.
I interned there, and I wanted to move to Los Angeles anyway. And my uncle was like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to hire someone and skirt some serious like labor regulations because his family. I worked at the Young Turks and I made like, I think my first year salary was like $21,000. Like it was under the,
that's like this.
I got money back from the government. So I started doing ad sales at the Young Turks, and they needed someone to do like direct ad sales, and they had no idea. They had nothing. Like they had no program dedicated to like, you know, selling ads and inventory.
I was there during this time. I remember this stuff. Not that I talked with Haas much at all, besides like I said earlier, like he would come up to me and talk about stand-up and stuff. But you know, so I wasn't in on his, like I wasn't privy to this thing, but I knew that he was doing some kind of ad sales deal, trying to, you know, drum up business or something. And you know, people kind of talked. Everybody knew he was the uncle's nephew. He was nice enough, kind of, you know, guy or whatever. A lot of eye roll sort of thing. Wears a lot of rings. Whatever, it's fine. But I often got the sense he was kind of stressed out, though. It did seem like he was a little bit out of his depth. And he was he was in his early 20s. I'm not saying like I'm trying to give it like a lot of close reading just by observing behavior casually or whatever. But, you know, it's tough to do. You know, any kind of ad sales is difficult when you're, you know, there's some people who are just sort of naturals at it, or they become really good at it over lots of hard fought years. So it's not a surprise that he might have had some struggles or something. But I don't think anybody really understood that some labor regulation was skirted. My best guess is that it was likely he was classified in a way to not receive proper benefits. I'm only basing that on the reason we unionize. So nevertheless, let's continue this. And this is even more shocking. Think about how stressful this must have been.
So I basically built that out.
Right.
Advertisement, sales, and operations in its entirety.
Oh, wow.
Because I got on Facebook and they were like, you're just going to do all of our Facebook stuff.
Wow.
Like you're demoted. No longer are you doing sales. You're going to do Facebook.
Well, that's because your uncle was letting everybody steal your sales deals too.
That's true.
His uncle would like let him massage a sales deal to the last thing, then someone would swoop in and close it and take the commission.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And his uncle
Great
would be
stuff.
like, them's the break. So it's interesting because his uncle basically at this point like tries to whiplash this, like basically be like, I did all this to motivate you.
Are you on good terms with your uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
still
okay.
love him. But I mean, he was
But
just,
it's
Yeah. You know, people are telling the truth and their voice goes, yeah. No, I believe he says that when I mean, what's he like his life hasn't worked out okay enough that it's probably okay for that water to go under the bridge. But what the hell, dude? What the F? His uncle would steal his sales commissions? Like, wow. Amazing. So Sean O'Brien suggesting that they had that he should have had his own union. Certainly,
you know, the pay structure that I worked
So you
under.
definitely needed a union with a relative.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt.
yeah.
Exactly. They actually did unionize the producers, but that was
We'll go
after I
past
had
this
left. But there was definitely a little bit of issues there as well. And
The fish rots from the head down.
Oh, that's just my ad. Yeah. So amazing stuff. The fact that he doesn't know what happened, though, is heartbreaking. Honestly, like this really bites in a sense because this is why I'm doing the movie. This is why this movie had to be done. It is absolutely inappropriate, unfair. It's an injustice that the left's most popular and richest, wealthiest socialist on our side, who's become a very capable advocate for these principles, who I believe him in this interview where they talk about all the support that they're showing for other unions and all this good work that he's raised money for the Amazon labor union. He's done other things, fundraisers. He's worked with other politicians in certain events. He's got a huge audience and he makes a ton of money. He's a millionaire many times over. And the people whose labor built his success, on whose foundational work his success would have been unlikely. Let's just say if he was working at a car dealership in New Jersey and started streaming on the weekends or on his days off and didn't have an Uncle Media company to practice and to get good at and to gain knowledge and notoriety and experience and opportunities to get on camera, opportunities to practice, to get better, to be kind of bad at it at first, to be goofy at the beginning, and then to get more opportunities. He took a lot of his own initiative, but there was, when people talk about nepotism, I think I said this earlier in this 100-hour podcast, but the machinery of that, and as I say, I would have taken the same nepotism, not even knocking him for it. He acknowledges it. I think it's fine. It's part of the way things go in this world. But like, what that means is that he had access to all these creative professionals, as well as the gear, the promotional apparatus, and Cenk's beneficence, so to speak. But the workers who did the labor, the tech people who set the cameras up and the green screens and the teleprompters and the lighting, and the editors who did all the fancy stuff with the breakdown things. That's a lot of stuff I did. His primary editor was incredibly talented and hardworking and brought so much creative spirit and effort and energy and worn out cartilage that you get when you're a video editor to his videos. A person who was part of the unionizing, who had their own reasons, as well as the solidarity reasons of us looking out for each other. You know, everybody had similar reasons, I suppose. And I'm not even trying to imply anything. I'm just saying like we all worked at the same company is what I mean. And he should give that person a huge check. Honestly, I feel like that would be a nice thing to do. Just do that. I don't know why I feel like that's important. That's like one of my side quests with this thing. It'd be awesome if he did that. But it's just really annoying that like even now, Cenk's misinformation campaign worked so effective. It was so effective. And even to the degree that the guy who wouldn't be anywhere near where he is without the work of the people in this union is totally clueless about what happened, has no idea what went down, to the degree that he is repeating completely incorrect information that Anna also put out. So that came from somewhere. I want to know where that came from. I'm very curious to find out where that came from, because that's not right. Here's another one that I clipped out. This is also interesting. Let's just watch this real quick.
Well, and I think that was my third, like, final radicalizing moment, I guess, was I had this IP, this intellectual property of the show that I, like, built out of the, for free, that I did because I wanted to do it on the side. It's something I wanted, and I knew they were not going to, like, originally, they were not going to let me do it unless I do it for free, which is, you know, kind of lame.
And this is your uncle's company.
Yeah, it's my uncle's company.
So he had to take initiative, and sounds like there was hours that went into it that weren't paid. I actually remember when he was setting up and doing like a shooting for Bro Tips. There was a producer who helped him out with that. I'm not sure if that person got paid for the hours of that or not, but I do recall being around. And to Cenk's credit, like, we could use equipment to film shows and to make use of stuff. He trusted us to like do stuff like that, not necessarily putting it out under TYT's brand or whatever. It's not like you could just like do that, but you could do, you know, try your own projects on some of the stuff within reason. You know, it's not, you know, but they were kind of maybe partially due to just not paying that close attention to the inventory, but it's not like they had a restriction on that. Although maybe these days there might be a bit of a more restriction, and that's okay. It's too, you know, every company goes through phases of that kind of thing. So I was there when they were setting up for the Bro Tip stuff, setting up the stupid chair and the little thing. You know, I remember seeing it. It was, you got to give anybody who takes initiative, even if it's goofy and awkward, you got to give credit for anybody who gets up off their butt and does something. But let's just keep going. So he's talking about how initially he wasn't paid, and I don't think he's referring to Bro Tips. Just to be very clear, I think he's talking about the development of the breakdown with Hasan Piker.
You know, so I'm just like, I want to help. I want to be beneficial, and I also want to do this thing. I'll just do it. I'll just do the extra work for free on the side and like maintain this thing so that like, you know, I can prove that it's good. And so I did that.
So I think when the Will Neff on the Chuckle sandwich where he says I got demoted, he's talking about how like he had the sales thing, and then his Facebook videos started doing well, and he was demoted in a sense of like no longer doing the sales. And now, but perhaps that means it wasn't proven, and therefore it felt like a demotion because the pay went down. Maybe, I don't know. It's just because to me it's an upgrade to go from sales to being on camera. You know, I'd love that. Yeah.
That, but it blew up. It got very popular, and instead of giving me additional funds to be like, here, let's build out the show more, let's give you a writer, you know, because I did this in the supply closet. Basically, I put a green screen up there and I started filming myself. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna take this IP and we're gonna give it to all the other hosts so we can like make more of the same type of videos without spending any extra money. And that's when I was like, damn, I have no ownership over this. Like, I have no control over my hours. I have no control over this IP, this thing that I created, right? Like this thing that I put a lot of thought and effort into, and I did for basically free.
So he felt alienated. He felt like, it sounds like, you know, that sense of your work isn't connected to your own self in a sort of meaningful sense, not just getting paid, but like the disconnect from your effort. And then it's immediately bogarted into someone else's benefit, which is usually the capitalist who gets more control, who has more control over your life than you. Not necessarily that, but you know, like it's usually the boss at the top of the chain. In this case, it just happened to be Cenk Uygur, his uncle.
I don't control it.
It seems like you're describing the third-party leasing arrangement that Amazon is using right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a great segue. You're a natural. You're a natural at this podcasting thing.
The fish rots from the head down.
Whoa. I like that little weep. So interesting stuff though, isn't it? So he's talking about doing the breakdown, and that the fact that he didn't get support in a sense where it was something that he was rewarded for and encouraged to build out and make stronger. And what did that cost Cenk? What if he was able to build out a Twitch network around this guy, and that was still under the TYT umbrella? Remember, I've been talking about solidarity this whole podcast. Actually not, because I forgot to talk about it during the first half. But that whole loyalty or solidarity thing is, if Cenk had dropped it wouldn't have cost very much more, honestly, to build this out and to create a space for Hasan to flourish within his company. How much wealthier would he be now? How much more money would Cenk? Cenk could be living in that big fancy mansion in Martha's Vineyard that he's been hoping to live in his whole life. Maybe not whole life, but he said that on the Jimmy Dore show when he was when he talked to him. That's in the film.
And I still want to be rich, and I keep that real all the time. I don't want anybody to get wrong idea on that. But
I want to be rich. I want to have a beautiful house like that. I don't have it because I turn down money at every opportunity to do the right thing. But would I like a house like that? Sure. Okay.
Congressman Phillips, Ms. Williamson, and Mr. Uygur are each millionaires. That you're dealing with three wealthy people here. How can you relate?
Ben's uncle is an Academy Award nominee. His brother is a
winner. He won.
Brother is a newscaster on 48 Hours.
Dateline.
Jill's parents.
He ran Paramount Studios.
Yes. Okay, and Cenk, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your deal is.
My dad's an olive farmer.
All of you are wealthy. How can you relate?
When I was born in Istanbul, the hospital had to surgically.
I excluded you.
Or I had to surgically remove a silver spoon out of my ass.
I excluded you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was not born wealthy.
No, my dad is actually not unwealthy. Okay, so
I should include you.
See, my career has been one of great struggle as we.
Am I the son of a mill worker? And did I, and this is the first two pieces of clothing I've had that hasn't had a patch on it? No.
Being a talk show host is not easy.
Am I a part of the proletariat and I rose up and I just 3 weeks ago finally broke the chains off my legs? No.
For 15 years, I was basically starving. I ate Hot Pocket cereal.
Cenk's family far richer than my family.
Okay, so let's
sound actually far richer than mine.
Well, I think that's wonderful for all of you.
I used to apportion the amount of cereal I could eat at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, you and I are fake broke. Okay, yeah, I drive the Pontiac Grand Am.
the legendary Pontiac Grand Am.
The old war horse.
This is the car that Dave Kohler and I drove across the country from New Jersey to LA to start the Young Turks. I don't know what that means. This is where we picked up a couple of Mexican girls and went to a Mexican festival in Dodge, Kansas. I hit the back too, I forgot about that. Over here. Oh, you know what else happened inside here? dirty, dirty things. No, I'm kidding. If you buy this car, you will help set this country free. You will help bring back our democracy.
Now, since I made that video, I've got some bad news for you. You know who else drove that car around for a while? The artist formerly known as Bro2.
Copy video address. Go away.
Basically, I put a green screen up there, and
The only thing I had to say about this, though, in terms of that, other than how interesting it is that his IP felt like it was taken, and you know, I edited the Francis Maxwell's videos. There was also a few other contributors that did like the white background, the thing, and I think they were building it out for other platforms. Facebook was making profits at the time. It's an interesting thing that he described it as the third thing that radicalized him. That made him kind of wake up to the unfairness that's built into the system. And this is this guy's uncle or nephew. So how do you think Cenk treated the non-nephew workers? You know, and the only kind of irk that I have, the only bone I have to pick is that all of this is I put up the green screen and I started filming myself and I did all this. And I don't know, I wasn't there for the breakdown origination moment where he did it. So maybe he did do everything by himself, had no help, did all his own editing, all his own publishing. That's possible. So I don't want to say that I know for sure that he didn't. But as far as I was ever able to tell, there was a hell of a lot of people doing work on this too. Like the editor that I mentioned, but there was publishers that made it happen. And there was all kinds of other people whose time, talent, and labor paid for through their boss's payroll system, at least some of the time, that were part of his rise. And the workers in this union, like as I keep repeating, are the literal foundation of his success. And someone with his principles, someone who I think he sincerely believes them, I think he has an obligation to correct this. This is not okay for the workers that built this guy's career, for him to be out there helping bury their truth. That's not okay. This is really fucked up, honestly. So somehow I'm hoping that my project gets in front of Hasan, that someday he sees this, he'll recognize me. I remember once I was doing Postmates, hated every minute of it. It was late. It was like a 9 o'clock something. I don't know what time, but I went into some restaurant, dark, some place, and like in West Hollywood area. And there's Hasan sitting, waiting for food with some dude, you know, a friend of his. And immediately we just start chatting. You know, he knew me. He saw me. You know, I wonder, I'll be curious if I ever talk to him, if he remembers that. And he was friendly. You know, it was fine. I was kind of embarrassed a little bit, but also kind of like, oh, wow, that was Hasan there. And I picked up the order and delivered it to somebody as a serf, trying to survive enough to endure yet another day so I could do it all over again. So my point just being that, like, there's no reason why him and I won't be able to have like a fine conversation. There's, you know, that would be really great someday, because I think he has an obligation. I'm not even talking about the success of the film. This is, you know, I have mixed feelings about like even benefiting to the tune that I would make any money, but like I haven't made any money. I mean, people have given me money to help me with some bills a little bit, but I'm tens of thousands of dollars in debt to my roommate. And I'm lucky enough that my dad helps me so I don't go without food. And I've been working on this thing so hard. I have not made I would bet my hourly on this project is in the 4 to 5 cents an hour right now, based on the years of work that I've put in. It's nothing here. So like, if I could even like somehow, why am I talking about all this? It's just, but like, we're doing a fundraiser in February, or I'm doing a fundraiser. When I say we, I mean you. I mean all of us, because we can all together make Cenk Uygur the face of union busting, as he deserves. It'll be, and as well as an educational project for the film, is, you know, to hopefully reach other people outside the Young Turks drama sphere, outside the online lefty political talk show sphere, into the world where people need to stand up to their bosses, where it's enough of this fucking bullshit, because the bosses are just going to let the billionaires destroy the planet and maintain high leverage over us and the rest of us and everybody else. And it's going to kill the billionaires too. The last person to die on this planet is going to be some billionaire starving to death looking at a painting that's worth tens of billions of dollars because it's the only painting left on the planet. No, but some bunker will be where the final light of human consciousness blinks out on a wasteland planet with runaway climate change effects going on, or possibly some other sort of destabilizing thing that causes the entire Earth to become a snowball, which happened too. There's geologic history proving that. And it won't be the billionaire. It'll be one of the Navy SEALs who killed the billionaire after the first week. That's who'll be the final breath of the final flicker of consciousness. And that's the world we're heading for. Why am I talking about that? So nevertheless, fascinating time here. I was so exhausted doing this podcast. I didn't really get to this entire interview. Well, fuck it. We'll just watch this first part. I'm not going to repeat all that, but this is also about TYT, his early days.
They actually did unionize the producers, but
damn it, I got to back up. Sorry. 5 something. He goes, what was the first job you had?
Had nowhere to go. I mean, I
had college,
Here.
and you weren't certain what you were going to do. What was the first job that you had?
I worked with my uncle.
Cenk?
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Cenk. Sean O'Brien knows your name, Cenk. We just got to make every union leader in this country knows Cenk's name. That will be good. Every union leader in the whole world should be talking about tell the truth, Cenk. Let's see some solidarity, union leaders.
So I had nowhere to go. I mean, I graduated with honors, but it didn't matter. It's a terrible job market. There's no applicable, I didn't have the network. Like, I didn't have any people that I knew that worked in, any of these like big four consultant firms or whatever, which is ironic. Now that I look at it, that's what I thought I wanted to do. I was like, oh, well, this is applicable. I'll become a consultant.
Right.
It's disgusting. The
Right,
fact
those are the people that you target, I think, on your audience.
100%.
And those are the people that, are causing a lot of these problems throughout this country. So that's
the consultants of the world are the real, PMCs, professional managerial class, but like they're the ones that are advising the vampires, and they're the vampires themselves, McKinsey's and stuff like that, which he talks about. I actually relate to this because I also went to school for business and not necessarily aspired to become a consultant. I just had I was good at talking and good at talking to people in high school, and I figured that meant I'd make a good businessman. I didn't have any idea what the hell. I didn't even actually pick my major till like later in college. And I was a junior, and I studied business management, industrial distribution management, including that almost a marketing degree as well. And people from that major went on to become consultants in the kind of companies that he's talking about. So like that was a career track I was on, but I had very much like an intuitive sense that it was gross. It was all kind of goofy to me. I definitely would have taken a consulting job because I knew a dude that got hired and he wasn't assigned to a project. So he was making like $80K a year for like 3 months, but like for nothing. He would just sit around and play video games at his house. Because I went over to hang out with him a few times. And I'm like, you're making money, right? He goes, yeah, I'm not assigned yet. They're going to have to give me a job. I was like, fuck. So there's lots of money for these people. And it is interesting that it has that. But, that's something he and I could talk about one of these days. Yeah.
Quite a shift in attitude.
Yeah, it is wild. When I think about it now, I was like, damn, I wanted to go work for like PricewaterhouseCooper or like a McKinsey. And now I'm like,
Arthur Anderson, or I think it became Anderson Consultant. Their names change over years. Deloitte and Touche was one of those. Those are accounting firms as well.
What the fuck was I thinking?
Were you like taking gummies or smoking weed back then at all? Or what was up?
No, I think. Well, yeah, I guess
he was high on confidence. That's for sure.
For sure. But no, at that time, it was just like I didn't have any sort of like serious principles. I was just thinking about it like I want to make money and this is prestigious. That's what I thought in my mind. But I started working with my uncle, and look, I think it might be a little Turkish of him to do this, but he definitely took advantage of the fact that I was his nephew in terms of the pay structure that I worked under.
So you definitely needed a union with a relative.
Oh,
there you go. Sean O'Brien told Hasan that he needed a union at TYT. Boy, do I understand that. My God.